The podcast you are about to listen to contains at least one of the following: strong language, disturbing topics, abusive opinions, generally things that aren't appropriate for little kids or overly sensitive people. So, if any of that stuff's going to get your nose out of joint, this is your chance to turn it off.
Feelings don't matter, so brace yourself tight. He'll lay it down heavy, he'll light up the night. No sugar-coated tales, just cold hard facts. In the realm of opinions, there's no turning back. Listen close or just walk away. But Aaron had to say it, come what may. Here comes Aaron with the truth untold. No holding back, watch the truth unfold. On the podcast, airways feel the righteous sting. You either take it in or let the silence ring.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of I Had to Say It. So we're going to start it as we do by saying to Iceman, Jason, Mike, Tabby, Javier, Fitz, McShane, El Jefe, El Devlin, El Morte, to the guys from the Weather Report, to Billy G, and to Walt from the B-Raw Podcast. Thank you for your continued support. So anyway, over this past weekend, the leftist parade of clown show has continued to roll on, as it tends to do. The fat, jelly-filled fuck muppet of a governor here in my state has been out stumping around trying to find all these places where he wants to talk to real Illinoisans about how Trump's tax problems are making their lives worse. Now, in true Democrat fashion at this point, I don't understand how they think these tactics work. They lost overwhelmingly in the 2024 election. And granted, right now their only real option is to try and stonewall and prevent Trump from accomplishing anything, which they've been doing through, activist appointed judges and through just general leftist behavior, the juvenile, pathetic, childlike behavior that we've come to expect from them, whether it's from their representatives, the appointed, duly elected officials, or the general population of leftist retards. They all have the same childish mindset of, we didn't get our way, so now we're going to take our ball and go home, or we're going to destroy everything around, because, that's really what they do. It's when the right loses, they bitch, they whine, they maybe boycott a brand. When the left loses, shit catches on fire. Whether it's Tesla dealerships or Targets or police stations because some junkie died while a cop was trying to arrest him. At the end of the day, these motherfuckers behave like spoiled children who had their favorite toy taken away or told they couldn't do something they wanted to. And it's deplorable, it's pathetic, it's really, really sad, but it's what we've come to expect from them. And subsequently, we've got the right being a bunch of toothless, worthless fucksticks who, even though they control the majorities in the House and the Senate, they're not overwhelming majorities, but they are majorities. They're not doing anything to try and actively combat the childish, tantrums and tactics coming out of the left, which is indicative of the bigger problem, whether you want to refer to it as the deep state or the uniparty or whatever you want to refer to it as. The simple fact of the matter is a lot of the Republicans, a lot of the right, supposed right-leaning individuals are controlled opposition at best. They're not doing anything to actively stop these things because at the end of the day, they don't want change to happen. And they're perfectly content to sit back and posture and puff out their chests and rend their hair and tear their garments to show how distraught they are with the unacceptable behavior of their colleagues on the left, while not actually doing anything to stop the horseshit, whether it's Jasmine Crockett taking her fake stereotype bullshit, just wannabe hood rat, pandering sack of shit ass on national television and calling Elon Musk a Ponzi scheme or a moron or a unintelligent person, all because he's auditing the federal government and exposing what a crock of shit it actually has been for decades. Or, calling actively for violent assaults on conservatives, saying Ted Cruz should be hit in the head, calling for people to take out Musk, calling for people to take out Trump. She literally said for her birthday she wants somebody to take down Elon. Now, first off, I don't understand how this cunt is so arrogant to assume that anybody gives a fuck what she wants for her birthday. And second off, as I keep saying, she is literally, if I were of African American descent, or however you want to say it, if I was a black dude, I would be mad as fuck at the way Jasmine Crockett portrays herself, how she carries herself in the halls of Congress, how she carries herself on television with her bullshit. Like, literally, she is a fucking caricature of every fucking hood stereotype about people. She was raised in private schools. She went to private schools. She went to college. She's educated. She spoke perfectly well prior to deciding she needed to pander to the lowest common denominator of black people. And it's really pathetic. And anybody with a modicum of IQ should be insulted as fuck at the way she carries on. But so she's out here calling for, assaulting conservatives and basically talking every piece of shit, every regurgitated line that the left has been feeding her. Basically, more of the same old. And again, zero repercussions. No censure, no fucking... Despite a lot of the population calling for the Republicans in Congress to do something about it, no expulsion, no censure, no nothing. It's pathetic. I mean, even with the bullshit they pulled with Al Green's fucking people standing up and singing for him while he was being censured, it literally accomplished nothing. They're still on all the committees. They're still just out there stirring up shit. And again, like I said, at the best, right now it seems like the Republicans are controlled opposition. And at worst, they're all complicit in this horse shit. There are very few people in the Congress that are actually worth a fart in a high fucking wind. Which is why, as much as I joke around about it, I really, if I had the resources, I would so be running for office in this next coming cycle. If nothing else, just so I could get out there and badmouth these people in ads and to their faces as much as humanly possible. So they could maybe get a little taste of what the common person actually thinks of these fucks. Because let's be honest, most of these politicians are not grounded in reality in any way, shape, or form. They're not in touch with the real world. They're not in touch with the average person. They're out there living in their little fucking bubble, doing whatever they need to do. They think, or at least what they think they need to do to try and get along and get ahead and enrich themselves at the expense of you and me and everybody else that has to go out and punch a clock and fucking pay their taxes. Which brings me to the perennial grifter. Once upon a time, I thought the guy might actually have some principles, even though they were misfounded in the concepts of communism. Fucking Bernie Sanders. He and AOC, speaking of politicians being out on the grifting tour this weekend, they were out doing their little town halls, and that's one of the big things the Democrats are fucking trying to harp on in this part of the cycle, where they're trying to say that Republicans don't have town halls because they don't want to hear what the people have to say. Where, to be more accurate, Republicans stopped hosting town halls because they were being repeatedly infiltrated by Democratic agitators trying to pose as Republicans and then come out and try and bitch like they're Trump voters who regretted their vote and all this other nonsense. And this is what happens when you got a bunch of pissed off theater kids, a bunch of people who think they can act, but actually all they're good for is acting like jackasses. And so Bernie and AOC, it's been all about the grift this past weekend. They're sitting here blatantly lying about how many people are in attendance at these rallies. Like, they tried to claim 15,000 people were at a rally, plus the overflow was filled too, at a venue that only had a capacity of 5,000 seats. So you take that into account, and then a couple of the other places they were having their rallies, the towns didn't have venues that could supposedly accommodate the capacities they were trying to claim. Now, when you look into that, and then you couple that with, like I said, AOC and Bernie, anything they say, I just automatically assume is bullshit or a grift. But when you look into it, we live in the modern times. Literally every single one of us walks around with a fucking tracking device in our fucking pocket. The data is all there and publicly available to people who know how to parse it, people who know how to analyze it, people who know how to look at trends and patterns and things like that. And out of all the attendees at all of the AOC Bernie bullshit town hall meetings, something like 86% of them had been to 9 or more Democrat rallies in the last 6 months, whether it was camel toe rallies or, localized things. But it's basically more of the same shit. They're paid rally attenders to try and foster the illusion of public support, and it's a traveling crowd that's going with these fuckheads from place to place to place. It's not like an organic, naturally occurring groundswell of support like they're trying to paint it as. And apparently they didn't get the message during the fucking presidential election when they were calling out Kamala for this shit, because they're still doing it. And like I said, these numbers and the cell phone identifying numbers are the IEMI numbers that tell the internet what unique piece of equipment is where, has been pinged and tracked at all of these fucking rallies. And there's people out there speculating that this is going to be some sort of like they're trying to rebrand the Democratic Party. And the problem is that we've already got a Democratic Socialist Party in the United States. We've already got a bunch of worthless fucking commies out here trying to corrupt and destroy this country. And Bernie and AOC realistically are already part of that. So it's not really rebranding shit. They're just trying to get the rest of the whack job leftists on board with their ideals. And honestly, there are a lot of people saying that they're looking at an AOC Sanders ticket for 28. First off, Bernie's fucking so old, he comes dust. I honestly don't believe he will still be kicking around in 2028. And if he is, he's not going to be in any kind of shape to contend for the seat. So I think it's more likely they're trying to kind of groom AOC as his, the new firebrand figurehead of the Democratic Party. She's polling really favorably, her and Booty Juice and fucking, I've heard people floating Crockett, which I think would be hilarious. And now we've got the fat boy still trying to fucking get out there like, oh, hey, look at me. I'm a contender. I'm in this race. No, the fuck you're not, fat boy. Nobody looks at you and says, you know what, that's presidential material right there. Kind of like Newsom. Nobody really thinks that fucking pile of hair gel and fucking bad skin is something that's going to be taken seriously at this point as a contender. He's tried to launch this little podcast and rebrand himself as a more moderate Democrat. Nobody's buying it. He's not swaying hearts and minds. None of these fuckbags are swaying hearts and minds. They're not going to places where, love him or hate him, and, or be like me and be kind of indifferent to him, but thinking he's less terrible than the fucking other alternatives. You got to give Trump credit, at least. I mean, if you're not a fucking deranged leftist asshole who can only identify as orange man bad, if you're actually capable of objective thought, like a lot of us are, at least if you're listening to this show, I assume you're capable of objective thought, or you got here by accident because I somehow managed to hit something right in a title and you had your interest piqued and it was suggested by Spotify, and then you listen and you're probably not still listening because I probably already pissed you off, but on the off chance you are new here, hey, welcome. I promise I'll get under your skin at some point. Or I'll get in your head and you'll find yourself accidentally repeating things that you hear on this show in conversations with normal people who haven't heard of the show and won't understand why all of a sudden you're referring to somebody as a smooth-brained fucktard. But it will happen if you listen long enough. I'm insidious like that. I get inside your head. And next thing you know, that little voice, you know how like the cartoons used to show an angel on one shoulder, a devil on the other shoulder. I like to think the devil kind of looks like me. Curly mustache, big bald head, winning smile, great eyes. Not to be immodest, but I'm pretty fucking stellar. But I digress. So the thing about these fucking grifting leftist deranged assholes is they're only playing to their fucking audience. They're staying in their echo chambers. They're staying in safe areas so they can feel validated because that's the only way they can get a turnout. That's the only way anybody's going to turn up for their shit, whether it's paid actors or fucking smooth-brained leftist fucks, because I know you guys have been waiting for me to say smooth-brained for the entire fucking episode, because apparently that's just one of my things, and some people wait for the whole episode to hear me say it because apparently I say it real good. But I digress. The point is, all these retarded leftist motherfuckers that realistically, all of a sudden, Elon bad, Orange Man bad, everyone bad because they told us so. They're Nazis and they're trying to destroy democracy because our leaders told us they are, and they wouldn't lie to us because they're the good guys because they're on our side you ever notice how all these idiots that are making social media posts have big fucking SSRI eyes? Where you can tell if they're not medicated, they fucking need to be, and if they are medicated, the dose is fucking wrong. But again, I'm getting sidetracked here. The point is, like I said, love him or hate him, you got to give Trump credit. When he was out campaigning, he did not stay in his comfort zone this time. He did not play to Republican strongholds because let's face it, there weren't a fuck ton of those left at this point. Granted, Sleepy and fucking Cackles did everything in their power to drive people to the right. I don't think it was intentional. I think they were just delusional fuckheads that thought they were doing what the people wanted because their handlers told them so. Because honestly, let's just admit it. Neither one of them was the ones holding the fucking reins. They were, laugh, dog, laugh, clap and bark, here's your fish seal. And here's your ice cream, old man. Now go sniff a kid and go to bed. So the people who were telling them, oh, yeah, no, this is what people want to hear. I honestly think they were legitimately blindsided by the results because they didn't realize that the average person wasn't on board with what they were fucking selling because they looked to the source of their power and their authority and their self-enrichment, and that they were told that by their masters, and they didn't want to hear differently because that would stop the gravy train from rolling. But again, Trump went out of his comfort zone. He went on podcasts. He went out into districts where they were traditionally blue fucking sections, and he went out there and he did what he does. And he can work a fucking crowd. Love him or hate them. And like I said, I'm more or less indifferent towards the fucking guy personally. But I will admit when someone is good at something. Whether I like him or not, I can still acknowledge a skill set. And this motherfucker knows how to work a crowd. He knows how to interact with people. And he's a lot more genuine than what people are used to seeing when they think of fucking politicians. Because at the end of the day, I've said it before, I'll say it again, the motherfucker's not a politician. He doesn't behave like a politician. He doesn't act like a politician. He doesn't let political thoughts guide his decisions. He treats running the country like running a fucking business, and he's good at that. He's declared bankruptcy this many times, and he's done this, and he's done that. You know why? Because the laws are there and the loopholes exist, and if you know they exist and you don't use them, you're a fucking retard. If I had the resources to put myself in a position where I could spend a fuck ton of money, make a fuck ton of money, write off a fuck ton of shit in taxes so I'm not paying taxes on the fuck ton of money I just made, and then declare all that debt null and void, fuck yeah, I would. Unfortunately, I understand how the system works. I just don't have the resources to capitalize on it because I, over the course of my life, have made a lot of decisions based on an entirely different set of codes than thinking about how to aggrandize myself the most financially, which in retrospect, I really should have done more to do that because, frankly, I would have been fucking amazing at it, but somehow I have this weird moral core that just won't allow me to do it for some stupid fucking reason. Not to say that it's necessarily a bad thing or a wrong thing. The loopholes are there. They should be using them. It's like Trump said when he was running against Hillary in 2016. The reason he uses those loopholes in the tax code is because they're there, because he's smart. And the reason they don't close those loopholes and those little clauses are because all of the other rich motherfuckers used the same ones, including all of the ones who gave Hillary money to run. They all use the same tax codes. That's why they don't get changed. Trump knows how the system is fucked because he's been using it for his entire adult life to advance himself. So he knows where the fucking holes are. He knows where the fucking skeletons are. He knows where the bodies are buried because he uses all that shit himself. And he's out here saying, you know what? This is not sustainable. This is not livable. This is not the best interest of the country. We need to adjust it. We don't need to take more money to give to the federal government. We need the federal government to be better stewards of the money they already fucking take. And you have all these fucking just sheep-minded retards that are fucking bent out of shape about it. And I said something earlier this past week that kind of aligned with this exact statement because I went off on a tear. I don't even remember what brought it up. We were doing one of the Weathered View episodes on X, which if you haven't listened to it, every morning Bruce, host of the Weathered Report, does a X Spaces from 6 a.m. to about 6:45 a.m. California Standard Commie Time, which would be like 9 a.m. East Coast, 8 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Mountain. And it's a live little session. He lets people come in and talk and bullshit, and I tend to be kind of a semi-regular appearance on that. And Bruce had a topic of, what would you do if you had Elon's money? And I went off the fucking handle because and then part of the conversation was, with all these shitheads that are trying to tank Tesla stock, and they're all, firebombing showrooms and fucking trying to light up charging stations. all these same assholes who 2 years ago wanted to mandate electric vehicles for everyone in the country because they have to save the environment, now really could give a fuck less about the environment because the guy who makes the most popular electrical vehicles in the country isn't on their team anymore because he didn't support waste, fraud, and corruption. And he realized the path this country is on is unfucking sustainable. And he decided to do what he thought was best to try and alleviate and change course so humanity fucking survives, as opposed to letting some globalist cabal take over and just fucking crush the peasant class and keep the elitists elite. And I kind of went off about it, and I said, getting mad at Elon for exposing all this corruption in the federal government and not actually getting mad at the federal fucking government for being this corrupt with our resources is like having somebody tell you that the reason you're waking up with a sore asshole every morning is because somebody's coming in the middle of the night and fucking you up the ass dry. And instead of getting mad at the person who's dry fucking you in the ass every night, you yell at the person who told you about it and set up a camera to show you it was actually happening and provided you with proof. You got mad at the guy who gave you the proof and then went back to bed and bit the pillow so you wouldn't be as sore the next fucking morning. That's the mentality of the motherfuckers who are out here protesting Elon, calling him a Nazi, burning down fucking Tesla stations, vandalizing Tesla cars. There's a website out there that is doxing the owner of every fucking registered Tesla in the country. And they're, like I said, they're actively trying to tank Tesla sales. They're trying to destroy Tesla showrooms because, again, the left is a bunch of fucking children and they only know how to act like little spoiled toddlers when they don't get their fucking way. So they lash out and strike out at things that represent things they don't agree with because that's what children fucking do. But anyway, the thing that really shows how short-sighted, just lack of critical thinking and functionally retarded most of these fucking people are is the way they're treating current Tesla owners, the way they're vandalizing privately owned vehicles, the way they are getting into fucking road rage incidents with people out there driving Teslas that they most likely bought because they wanted to be green, to be eco-conscious, to be saving the planet. So the vast majority of current Tesla owners that are being doxxed by this website and that are being assaulted and harassed by leftist fucking retards out in public are more than likely liberally leaning individuals to begin with, which, again, the left is eating their own, which I've been saying for quite a while, because if you're not as ideologically as pure as they think you need to be, you're automatically a far-right whack job in their minds because they are fucking retarded. They are just idiots. They have no cognition. They have the mindset of children, and they are manipulated like children, and they behave and react like fucking children. So they don't stop to think that they are probably assaulting people that would have agreed with them if they would have just acted like even teenagers, having a modicum of self-control and common sense. But instead, you want to threaten people for owning a vehicle because you don't like the guy who owns the company who made the car. The literally most American-made vehicle in the fucking country, built in America by Americans, putting money into the American economy by selling them, and supposedly trying to save the environment, even though those lithium batteries are fucking poison, and the mining process to obtain lithium is a fucking scar on the planet. But, it's the idea of, okay, well, look, these cars don't emit as many greenhouse gases because they don't have exhaust. Now, they emit a whole bunch of other pollutants from the extra weight and from the tires breaking down faster and a bunch of other shit. Not to mention the batteries, once they're dead, are poison, but that's besides the point, too. The point is the vast majority of the people who have these vehicles are probably more of a liberal mindset, more of they would have been sympathetic to your cause if you weren't such a rotten piece of shit. And you're going to verbally assault them, you're going to destroy their property, you're going to graffiti their cars, you're going to spray paint Nazis and swastikas on everything that you don't agree with. Which is kind of ironic because, as I've said previously, this is some literal Nazi fucking behavior. The Nazis in World War II destroyed Jewish businesses, destroyed businesses of people who didn't stand with the party, and busted out windows, firebombed stores, all of this shit that the left is doing now, meanwhile screaming that everyone that doesn't agree with them is a fucking Nazi. They are perpetrating actual Nazi shit upon their fellow citizens. without the slightest sense of irony, because these motherfuckers don't possess the self-awareness and the realistic view of the world to understand how fucking stupid they are actually being and how much they are literally what they claim to hate. Because righteous indignation and self-importance are obviously more important than fucking reality. And these are the same retards as they're graffitiing all these Teslas and destroying the property of what were probably once upon a time much more liberal-minded individuals, but I can't imagine they're going to stay that way when their shit's getting fucked up by the batshit crazy leftists, is something people need to remember. Those Teslas have cameras all fucking over them. It's part of the, self-driving plans that they have for these things. And the security features, they're getting footage of all you morons. So if you're out there keying cars or wiping boogers on them or other disgusting shit, I saw a video of a guy digging in his ass and rubbing his hands on the door handles on a fucking car. Just real classy shit from the fucking left, as one can expect. Bear in mind, you're being recorded. Elon has said that he's set it up where all of the Teslas are now in security mode when they're not being driven. So everything's going to get recorded, uploaded to the cloud, everything, and people are going to be prosecuting. You are going to really, very real chance, if you do some misdemeanor fucking vandalism shit, you're probably going to get a ticket. If you are destroying vehicles, firebombing cars, shit like that, you're probably going to go to fucking jail. And you may want to bear in mind that since all of a sudden, thanks to you shitheads, the conservatives are starting to buy Teslas, and they're getting great deals on them because the leftists already paid the full retail price for them, so now you can pick one up for about a third of what they used to cost from just, shopping from some leftist retard who wants to get theirs to stick it to the Musk. Completely writing off the fact that he's already got their fucking money. And now the car's going to go to somebody else that will actually appreciate it for a much, much more reasonable price. But something to bear in mind is you start fucking with conservatives that way, there's a better than even money chance you're going to get your ass whipped if they're around when you're doing it. And I'm not one to actively call for violence. I am one to recognize patterns. People are getting fed up with this shit. The middle is not going to support this shit going on. So when some conservative-leaning individual who happens to carry a gun, like, say myself. Now, this can't be me because I don't have a Tesla. I don't have the money to get my hands on a Tesla, regardless of how used it fucking is. I don't have the money. I just got a car that's new to me, and it'll do just fine for now, but I don't have that degree of disposable income available where I could just go out and buy a car to troll the fucking left. I mean, now, on the other hand, if any of my listeners in the Chicagoland area happen to have access to a Tesla and they want to go riding around with me on a weekend to fuck with liberals, hit me up. Let me know. That sounds like it could be fun. And, get out of the car and maybe hand out some old-fashioned Aaron education to people. But, yeah, somebody's going to get fucking hurt, if not killed, doing this shit. Because these emboldened leftist assholes who have gotten away with this shit, up to and as of actively right the fuck now. I mean, yes, they decided to prosecute 3 people for they caught that were firebombing a Tesla sale store, and they're definitely getting them for destruction of property, and I think they're going to try and press the domestic terrorist angle on it, which means if you get arrested for domestic terrorism, you're going under the fucking jail, basically. You're going to go to jail, no appeals, no time off for good behavior. You're doing 20 fucking years, and it's not going to be a fun 20 fucking years. Because realistically, if you go in there with purple hair and pronouns in your fucking, prisoner number, you're going to be real popular with the real criminals. But I digress. Point is, these emboldened shitheads who think that because to date they really haven't seen any consequences. They were allowed to burn cities to the ground. They were allowed to loot at their heart's desire. And, they just figure that's the way the system works. They can go out and do whatever the fuck they want because in their minds, they're all the main character. They're all the most important factor in the fucking world, despite the fact that they're all a bunch of NPCs doing what they're fucking told by their masters. At some point, somebody's going to get fed up and put a bullet in one of these motherfuckers. Like I said, if it's not a beatdown, it's going to be a shoot down. And they're going to say they were afraid for their lives because they were being attacked in their vehicle by some deranged fuckhead who didn't like that Big Daddy Musk owns the company and these people bought a Muskmobile, and now all of a sudden they're the bad people for driving the quiet electric car that's supposed to be good for the environment, but now it's a Nazi mobile, and if you drive one, you must be a bad person, which justifies to the mind of the retarded motherfuckers on the left, assaulting them, destroying them, and trying to intimidate them. Now, the problem is that, for the most part so far, I've only really seen them intimidating the elderly and the fucking infirm and weak, and, women and children. I haven't seen a lot of them going after big, scary guys trying to be like, oh, well, you need to do that because you're a Nazi, because they're going to get fucked up, because at the end of the day, for all their bluster, all their fucking self-righteous horse shit, they're all fucking cowards. They wear masks because they don't want to be prosecuted. They hide their identity. They hide who they are. They are fucking cowards. They won't confront somebody that they know is going to beat their ass. They won't confront somebody who's bigger than them or more intimidating than them or more powerful than them, whether it be physically or just in terms of positional power. They are fucking cowards. They are craven. They are weak. And at the end of the day, I mean, they're not worthy of your fear or even your respect at this point. I mean, I view them, honestly, they are subhuman. They gave up their humanity in the name of their ideology and their self-importance, and they're fucking pathetic. They're sad. They're not intimidating. They're not scary. They want to be badasses so much, but they are so fucking weak and pathetic. It's disgusting. And I guess that's where we're going to leave it for this week, because I'm tired and I want to go to bed. So that's what I had to say. Thanks for listening to another episode, guys. If you liked what you heard, leave a comment, leave a review, leave a rating. Go to ihadtosayitpodcast.com, sign up for the mailing list, interact with the show. Click the links, sign up for the Patreon, join the Discord. Come and interact, be a part of the show. Buy the merch, support your favorite creator. Or support me. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Till next time.